Well, it's beginning to look like spring in Utah. A little bit, okay? Let me qualify that. It snowed today, so we're not totally into spring yet, but we have done the clock spring ahead thing. So we did that. That happened just on a weekend when I came back from Seattle. So I came back a time zone and jumped forward one, and I felt like I think I did 2 time zones I was off. It was weird. It was a rough one. Aren't we going to do away with daylight savings at some point, or one thing or the other? Anyway, we're here back in Utah. The days are getting longer, so there's more time to work on this thing. So that's what I intend to do. So give me 1 second. I'm going to bring you up to speed on what my plan is for this week. Okay, so now that we're going to start to have evenings to work on this thing, it's important to maximize that time and kind of have some kind of a plan going at it. Over on the wall over there is hanging up the windshield frame. I have it just hanging on a ladder hanger that I have over there. It's sanded and it just needs that polishing step on it, so we'll do that. Tailgate is sitting here in the same shape. Those are the last 2 pieces that needed that really extensive work. The tailgate is looking a little dark. I don't think I did that when I did this second pass of everything. I think I skipped the tailgate, and I might wind up having to redo that. But if I do, that'll be okay. I got material, and it'll take half an hour to paint that. It's 18 inches tall and 3 feet wide or whatever. It's not a big deal. I've got things like the windshield hinges here, and they look pretty good. Those are the windshield hinges. I got the hood hinges over there. Those little pieces like that, I really was able to kind of just hammer those with clear coat and paint. So those, I think, are going to be pretty easy to get those knocked out. So that's going to get us to the point where all of our painted components will be done. Now, up in the engine compartment up there, as we get back to the rest of the construction of this thing, last we really worked on anything on the Jeep, I had the front fender off on the driver's side up there so that I could get to the side of that brake master cylinder that we put on that, I think it was Willwood. I may pull that fender off again so I can get easy access to the brake lines, because that was the last kind of thing that I needed to fabricate or kind of be able to really work with, and I might wind up just getting some brake line and a flaring tool and building custom brake lines down till I get hooked into the factory one. But then that fender will go on for good. That will get me to the point where the grill can go on for good. If I finish up the windshield frame, it can go on. Then I can get my cowl vent up there and the little duct work thing that goes down to the air box. And that's about the last thing that kind of wants to go behind the dash before you put the dash in. So then I can hang the dash, and then that gets me to just the rest of the tub. Now the inside of the tub is going to need some attention because, I'll spin you around here and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So you can see our tub here. Let's get this out of the way. It's got, different colors of primer, black and with a different color there. These are the places where the guys from Woolies Off-Road worked over this tub. Remember, this was imported from the Philippines and it was missing some things and didn't have cutouts and didn't have all the flanges and all that. So where they did their work, they repainted after they, burned through or heated up the paint from beneath when they're welding stuff on and whatever. So this is going to need one coat of something before we start to cover this up for good. Now, I have some thoughts on that. I'm not overly excited about the thought of getting a rattle can of black spray paint and spraying black paint all over, especially when I got all these miles of this beautiful black cherry stuff. I do not want to wind up getting all done and then go, oh geez, my tape came off somewhere and some black paint got on my other paint. So I'm going to do a little research, but I think there's some stuff called lizard skin or something like that is like a undercoating / sound deadening kind of material that you can roll it on with a roller So if that's the case, I think I'll get a little of that and I'll lay a coat of that on the inside of the tub before we, kind of call it done. Then even if I do or do not put like a factory, rug kit down, if I do, fine, but at least if I don't, it'll all be the same color and it'll be looking good. I haven't decided if I'm going to try and do a carpet kit or not. I don't think I have carpet in the parts and stuff I have downstairs. I've got the chairs and stuff down in the basement. But then the chairs would be ready to go back in, or the seats, the console. I can start to get the transmission top bolted down for good because I'll be done lifting the tub off and all that. So yeah, we can be back in construction mode here pretty quick. Once I get the grill up front in there, then it'll be time to go ahead and set the hood on, because even if I have to lift the hood up and down to get working on the engine, I can at least get it on there, which will free up a little room in the garage, make it easier, because right now I've got the hood kind of standing on some cardboard and I have to move it every time I want to move the Jeep. So it'll be good to have that up out of the way. So there you have it. A lot of stuff still due, but it's all stuff now that's kind of fun, let's get this thing done kind of work. I'll be ordering some parts again. It's been a long time since I bought any parts for this thing. But the little fender flares that Jeep was famous for, those little 3-inch flares, I'm going to order a new set of those, so they're all black and shiny. And I'll be able to start putting in like my marker lights, finish up my wiring harness. I do have my little Optima battery charger, keeping the battery happy. But yeah, we'll start putting stuff back together now. So probably, like I said, I might yank that fender off and get back to my brakes over there. So I believe that things should start happening with a much more productive pace than we've been at before. I mean, we're going to start getting some stuff done now. So I'm looking forward to it. All right, well, I am working on the windshield frame here, getting ready to bolt it back up onto the cowl here. And I just want to give you a quick update on what I've done. So along the bottom of the windshield frame, that's what we're looking at here, is the bottom side of it. So this bushing or rubber thing, gasket kind of thing, goes on here. But you can see we've got some little holes in it here and corresponding holes in the windshield frame itself. These were drilled really small for just a tiny little sheet metal screw. But I just ran down to Home Depot and I got me some number 6 32 inches or 32 threads per inch stainless steel 1/2 inch machine screws and some washers, and I'm going to put that on with those because I think that's a little better. So what I've done is I picked up a 7/64 inch drill bit because I looked it up and that's the size you use for a number 6 screw. And then I grabbed my little tap and die set and I tapped all of those for a number 6 32 thread. So it's not thick, it's just the thickness of the metal, but I feel like it's probably better to have a threaded section in there. It make me feel a little better anyway. So I'm going to put that on now and we'll see if we can't get those screws lined all up with the holes in the rubber grommet thing, and we'll put that on. Some Jeep jobs take a few minutes and you think they're going to take you hours, and then others take you hours and you think they're only going to take you a couple of minutes. So I thought it was only going to take me a little bit of time to get our rubber bushing along the bottom of the windshield frame, get the hinges on. But this is the replacement frame for the windshield that came from the folks that did the tub. And boy, these were tough to get these bolts lined up just right. So you kind of have, you got two going in from the side, you have these two here, and they're on a piece of plate in there that can move around. So you kind of have to get these lined up first and then get those in. That was kind of a nightmare. And then, you know, my painted bolts, as soon as you stick an Allen wrench in there, you break the paint around the top. So some of these gonna need a little daub of touch-up paint, obviously. But I got it, and I need to get some nuts for the other side of it for where the bottom half of the hinge comes through in there. I gotta be able to put a nut on it to hold it in place. So I'm done for tonight. Okay, so this just is basically gonna sit up on that. Mm-hmm. And then I'm just going to put a couple bolts through. Mm-hmm. Slide that chunk back just a smidge. There we go. I'll assume this will rip open it. These will go over forward in a second, and I'll have them all. I already do.
Good job. You took that box apart in the... Boy, did you take that box apart. Sure, that works too. Hey, what happened here? Extra drippage.
Yeah, that's from you wet sand it, and you're sanding, and it gets very messy. It's just wash it off.
Got it. The second I pointed it out, I was like, oh, I shouldn't do that. I know how much of a perfectionist that is. He's gonna be bothered if it's not perfect.
Well, I have a few things already that, like these bolts that I'm using, mm-hmm. I painted the heads of them, mm-hmm. but the paint is breaking off when I put the Allen wrench in the hole. You know, like the paint was kind of curled
right.
a little bit.
So with the green river truck, you're thinking you want to camp back in it?
I don't think. I think I'm gonna probably just want to come home after the thing. That's it.
Makes sense. I'm also going to have it. I do think though that we should do when we come home, we should do a camping stuff roundup so that I can grab the stuff, and if you're in Seattle, then you won't have to worry about it. That way, sleeping bag. I need to revisit my list of stuff.
All right, well, as you figured out, every job on a Jeep cannot be done with just two hands. So I bribed Gray with some dinner and had her come over and hold the windshield frame up there for me so we could get a couple bolts started through. So it's in place now. Got enough bolts to hold it in place while I kind of tighten everything up and get the rest of the bolts in there, but now I can work on it by myself again. So now we're at that part where we're seriously starting to put some parts back on this thing, but no more for tonight because it's Friday night, it's kind of late, and it's time to let this dinner settle and maybe have a glass of wine. So I will catch you guys next time around, and we will start bolting this thing back together for a large part of it and seeing if we can't make it start really looking like a Jeep again.